I was attending Eloquence, the District 98 conference, with a few Toastmaster friends. And there, sitting right in front, was none other than the Mark Brown, world champion of public speaking, 1995. I am so glad he could find time to talk to us today. Welcome to this podcast, Mark. One myth about public speaking that you would like to debunk based on your experience.
Interesting question. Number one, people talk about the fear of public speaking. I've learned over time, there is really no fear of public speaking. What we have is a fear of public embarrassment. It's a fear of not being able to live up to what we believe the world expects from us. We're afraid we don't look good enough. We're afraid our voice sounds too shaky. And we fill ourselves with these fears. It's not the speaking. All of us speak every single day in conversation. But somehow we see the audience and wonder, will I look okay? Is my hair fine? Will I like my clothes? Will I trip and fall? Will I? And the fear is of what may happen, which most often doesn't. I submit that if we change our perspective, we'll realize the audience is there because they want to hear from us. They believe we have something of value to share. And so if we shift our perspective and think of, okay, I may be afraid about what they think, but what do they really think? They think you have something to share and they want to hear from you. So I invite you who think you fear public speaking to address the real fear and find ways to overcome those. One of which, for me, is a perspective of I've worked really hard on my speech and I get to give my speech to them and I know they'll get value from it. So it's now an expectation of what they will receive as a result of my hard work, but not one of how will they see the way I wear my hair or the clothes I have. That really isn't that important. And if what you have is valuable, the audience will receive that.
Wow, I mean, that really changes my perspective towards public speaking and speeches in general. And it also ups my confidence quite a bit. Just hearing that answer, Mark, thank you.
Pleasure.
During this conference, I observed that there were several Toastmasters who walked up to you for advice,
Yeah.
and you were gracious enough to provide that too. Several times you did mention that there was this book, Delivered Unforgettable Presentations,
Yeah.
which I think you have co-authored.
Yes.
So could you give us a kind of teaser on that book?
Well, the book Deliver Unforgettable Presentations was co-written by one of my co-authors, Darren LaCour. Darren LaCour is Toastmasters 2001 World Champion of Public Speaking. And in 2001, when he was competing at the semifinal level, he approached me along with his coach at the time and asked if I would help him when he won that contest. And I said yes. And I was blessed enough to work with Darren LaCroix. Back in that day, you had 2 months to get a final speech ready, to work with him, and his speech became a winning speech. Since that time, we have worked together, coaching people around the world, and he has built a company called Staines Time University, where he is a principal, and I work with him, and we serve clients all over the world. It's a community. We have online coaching programs. We have live coaching calls. We do workshops and seminars every month and designed to help people become better speakers. The brand is Unforgettable Presentations, and the idea came with one of our mentors, Patricia Fripp, whose name may be unfamiliar, but Patricia is the first woman president of the National Speakers Association in the USA, a living legend. And she, Garen, and I co-authored the book, Deliver Unforgettable Presentations, the goal of which is to help anyone write a keynote speech using a simple process and structure to create such an effective presentation you'll be repeated and remember. The book takes you through how to write a good opening, where to find stories, how to have an anchoring foundational phrase that goes to your speech, how to block out 3 main points of wisdom, how to provide supporting evidence of those points of wisdom, how to tie it all together in the solid conclusion, and the call to action for the audience to be able to take action on whatever you provide. We don't cover a particular topic. We cover the principles and the practices of creating, writing, and structuring an unforgettable presentation.
Okay. So basically, I understand that there are three legends who have put in all their wisdom into this book. But I'm also looking at something, what makes this book stand out? Why should people buy this book as against, those hundreds of books that are available out there in the market?
Well, the book is modeled after Professor Fripp's speech model. And Fripp's speech model is the basis of the book. It's a very simple structure. It's a single sheet of paper that you could use to create a 45 to 60-minute keynote speech or a half an hour speech or a 20-minute speech, depending on what you want to do. It provides a system where you can easily compile your thoughts and ideas, find examples to support the points you want to make, and on one particular sheet, you can literally create a keynote speech. Your audience is hearing us right now. They can't see me, and I'm not in my office. But in my office, I have sheets of paper, each individual copies of the Fripp speech model that comprise individual keynotes I have been writing since COVID. And each sheet has the entire speech laid out. This particular book provides not only the process to create your speech on one sheet of paper, it also has tools to help you find the stories in your life you didn't think about or remember that can provide excellent evidence to which any audience can connect on an emotional level and will really find a common ground with you. We also, in each chapter, share some of the mistakes some speakers make when they're creating their speeches and address those mistakes as well. It's a very comprehensive book, but a very easy read. One can read that book literally in one sitting if they set their mind to it. It's not very hard to find and not very hard to read. It's digestible, it's a quick read, and several pages have quick sentence tips and techniques in one sentence to guide you along the way. To me, it's the best book on the market to quickly, simply, easily creating a well-structured and effective presentation.
Okay, so I do understand that there are a lot of tips and tricks out there on how to get the presentation done. As a new Toastmaster, suppose I would want to use the techniques given there to prepare, say, my 7-minute speech. Then is there a particular process that you would recommend that we follow to implement what is given in the book?
Well, the book sets you up for a 45-minute speech with three main points.
Okay.
As Toastmasters, when we start out, we really only have time for one clear point. I know some Toastmasters want to give 3 points, and you can, but think about this. If you have one central idea, you can take that speech model, which gives you 3 points and 3 points of supporting evidence for each of them. If you take the model and say, you know what, I will not work on 3 points of wisdom. I'll take that model and prepare 1 point of wisdom. That way you can structure a 7-minute speech with the same idea covering one main point. The concept being it provides a structure to write a 7-minute speech, a 10-minute speech, a 20, a 40, or a 60, depending on how long the speech is. You use repeatable components. Here's a bit of clarifications. In the book, we talk about a chunk of content. A chunk is one sexual idea and points and what we call supporting evidence, examples, graph, research study, an anecdote. We do that 3 times. It can be as long as 10 minutes long. However, you can have a point of wisdom and provide 1 point of supporting evidence and surround that with your opening, the premise or the idea you want to share, a conclusion, and a call to action. And that's your 7-minute speech as part of the full structure. The structure is flexible, which allows you to write different length speeches. So if a Toastmaster says, oh my goodness, I don't want to write a 45-minute speech, have no fear. Just take 1 point of wisdom, 1 minute of evidence, and wrap your opening, your message, foundation, and your conclusion around that. And there is your 7-minute speech, all on 1 sheet of paper. Very simple, very effective.
Okay, so what I do understand is that your book would provide something like a module,
Yes,
and then
it's a model with module.
okay, module, you can consider it as a module if you make it repeatable.
Yes, you could do that.
And-
We call it simply a chunk of content, to use vernacular. It's a chunk of
Chunk of content, okay. A chunk of content that I can use maybe once to deliver a short length speech and then I could just repeat that same chunk
Well, the
with different
each chunk
content.
is different points. So if you prolong a speech, you may have the 3 points. For example, Darren always says, or the idea is, what's my premise? Every Toastmaster can deliver an unforgettable presentation. The question becomes how. The how is covered in 3 points. We may say 1, have a good structure. 2, tell good stories. And 3, give solid examples. That could be my 3 points. However, if I only have 7 minutes and someone says, what's the key to giving a good presentation? I may say, today I'll talk about how you can use stories to deliver the presentation. So I have an opening and I'll say every Toastmaster can deliver unforgettable stories. How? Tell great personal stories. Give an example. And so how that works, we can then provide an example from my life, somebody else's life, somewhere I saw in Toastmasters, provide an example there, and they see how it supports the point I want to make about story. I can then issue a call to action. Mind your life. Look at your life and find stories that can really help your audience to get gather whatever message you say, and leave them with a call to action. Go home tonight and go through your mobile phone and find 3 photographs that may contain stories you can use. If you do that and use this system, you will deliver an unforgettable presentation. That's my closing. And in 7 minutes, you could cover that one chunk of content. Had you gotten 15, you cover 2 or 1. 30, 45 minutes, you could cover 3 different points. Have a good structure. Tell good stories. I may say, look, get great feedback. That's 3 points. So there are ways you can manipulate and decide what points you want to share. It gives you great flexibility. Some people have to do maybe a 90-minute presentation at the corporate level. Toastmasters don't often think about that. But if I want to add a 4th piece, I simply insert a 4th piece. The structure is flexible. And that's why on one sheet of paper, we found it very, very effective. And that's what we call the Fripp speech model, which is the anchor of the book.
Okay. So what I got from your answers till now is that this book mostly contains a structure and how we should have the content of our speeches and things like that.
It does have the structure. It also tells you how to create a good opening. It teaches you how to get a great closing. It teaches you where to find good stories. There are resources there, even opening lines that you can use. The magic word that gets every audience paying attention. What's the magic word? You have to get the book to find out. But it doesn't just only contain the structure. It has content that proves how all this works. And I tell you, I've used it myself for several years, and I will attest to the fact this particular system works.
What I was looking for is like the second keynote address that you gave at Eloquence, that is the yesterday's.
The workshop.
That contained a lot of information about vocal variety, how it ties to body language, and frankly, that was an eye opener for me.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Are those kind of tips also included in the book?
Well, I tell you, the book is structured with chapter that cover, to some extent, some of this detail involved in doing just that. The book has actually sections in it. Part 1 really talks about having a good structure. And those who are listening now won't be able to see this, but the book prefaces the importance of having the skill of speaking and then how to build that. And in one part, it actually has 7 steps to deliver an unforgettable presentation. There's 7 steps to it in the book. And as you can see here, the book has about 140 pages. It's paperback. It's pretty simple. And how you find your content. One of the first steps is finding your content. Step 2 in the book here covers, and you'll see mistakes. We have that step. How can you be clear? We always talk about being very clear. How you build a good structure in step 3. Step 4, creating a strong opening and closing. Step 5 is closing. Step 6, how do I make it unforgettable? How do I use language? How do I use a system of saying before and after? Here's the before. Before I was this. After I became that. And then show the journey I go on to get there. There are additional resources here about how to make a speech unforgettable. They cover how to have a relationship with the audience. So the book here has not just the idea of the structure, but practical tips and tools for making sure the audience receives it well. We talk about how to personalize your message because many speakers give a general talk about somebody who was famous and they offer principle. We show the value of having personal stories and how they can be really helpful. We talk a bit about how you can own the stage, what to do when you present, how you handle the platform itself. And that's how you memorize a speech. Well, we also memorize. We say internalize to get the speech in your body, in your mind, part of who you are. We talk about mastering your speaking area, how you use a platform effectively so the audience can visualize what you're dealing with. And there are a few tips as well among virtual presentations. So we do cover a broad spectrum of what we need to do to be effective, not only in writing, but in physically presenting the presentation and being confident in doing so. Again, I've used it. I continue to use it. And the I'll go back to the book and say, what did I say about that again? Oh, that's right. Here's how a chunk should work. I say all that to say, as a resource, it's not limited to structure. But as you can see, it does cover several aspects of the preparation, the writing, and even what to do when you're on the physical stage. I say the book provides enough information to prepare you to run the gamut of concept, idea, writing, preparation, practice, rehearsal, and presentation. I say the book provides full life cycle of creating your presentation.
Okay, so I'm sure that book is really going to be useful for me and also to other Toastmasters to develop the speeches, keynote addresses, whatever. So whether it's a new Toastmaster or an experienced one like yourself, I think that book will provide a complete package. But now I get to the part where we in India can access that book because I checked out on Amazon India.
Yeah.
Only the Kindle version is available. The paperback is not. So I was wondering why not.
That's a good question.
We could get it in as a paperback book in our hands. That would make it much better.
That is a question I will pose with our publisher in the family book because I know I was in Australia last year and they had for a client in Australia and they had they had ordered I think 50 books on Amazon. When I got to Sydney, Australia, the books were there. So I am not sure what countries make the physical book available and what complications there are. So I'll be very honest, I can find out. I will try to find out. I thought it was available here. Clearly, I was mistaken. But I would certainly find out from the publisher what the options are to getting paperback books in India. My concern would be shipping costs might override the cost of actual book itself, but I don't know that for sure. I can and I will find out. If you're getting them published in the US and then shipping them here, then I'm absolutely sure, yes, the shipping costs would be astronomical considering the conversion rate and things like that. And I don't know, I don't know if they're published, is they're printed only in the USA. I don't know how that works, but I certainly believe, Sham, a conversation with the publisher would answer those questions, and I'd be happy to get back to you when I find out, and you can share that with your audience as well. Thank you so much for that. I do hope the book becomes available in India because I would like to buy it myself, and of course, other Toastmasters in my club would too. I have no doubt about that. And I really appreciate you asking me to be a part of this project. And as my gift to you, I'll make a book available to you today as my gift to you for asking. And hopefully you will find it to be a useful resource. And maybe you can share your ideas with others in the interim. As I said, I'll do what I can to find out if it's available. But you have one from me today as my gift to you for asking me for my opinion. And will it be autographed for me? Or am I asking to my... Oh, no, definitely. The pen is right here. Her pen is here. I promise I will autograph her book. That's a guarantee. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mark, so much for your time. I really appreciate your being here with us today. My honor, my pleasure, and wishing you and your team and your fellow Toastmasters every success as you continue your speaking journey. May you all grow to deliver unforgettable presentations. It has been so much fun talking to Mark Brown, world champion of public speaking 1995. Thank you, Mark, for all those wonderful insights. Every Toastmaster wants to hear tips and tricks
from world champions. If you want to hear more from Mark, if you want to get more advice from him, do check out his book, Deliver Unforgettable Presentations. A Kindle version of this is available on Amazon India. This personal website also has a series of podcasts. Just scan the QR code or go to his website directly and unlock a completely different learning experience.